And let me know when you see that we started broadcasting.
Okay. Okay, it's not showing yet. Live.
I don't now, if I remember correctly.
Oh, there it is. There it
okay,
is.
good.
There it is.
Good.
It says Genesis 1:1. Shouldn't that be switched to Genesis?
No, it should say Genesis 1. I have the title I have 1. Oh, it's because I reused last week's broadcast
thing without changing the
I
title.
didn't change the title, and I can't change the title without stopping the stream. Okay, it's fine. I can always change that.
Yeah,
post.
you could. Yeah. You can go back in even right now and change in the background of YouTube and change that. And
oh, can I? Automatically. How do I change it in the background?
Yeah. Go into YouTube, the Go Live thing, right?
Oh, okay.
And then in the back there, it should have the stream under stream. I think you should have the one live. There's edit and button there, and then you can just edit the title, and then you save it.
All right, there we go.
Did you find that?
I found it. Let me edit it.
Let me know when you do it, and I'll refresh to check. Let's put the like on that. And I got you another subscriber to this channel.
Oh yeah, great.
my mom.
That's great.
Her YouTube. So you're up to 4. Okay, so let's see.
I'll give background on.
Refresh this. Okay, you haven't saved it yet, I guess. Did you change the title and save it?
I'm about to save it right now. Now I hit save. Okay. And
okay.
Can I just close out of this? Can I close this tab?
Yeah. Unless you want it up. I've got the...
No, because it's taking too much of my stuff.
Bandwidth?
Bandwidth and things, yep. All right, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit the start recording because we're 2 minutes out. And so... 3, 2, 1. Start recording. All right. All right, hey guys, this is Hillel, and I'm here with Rick, and we're going to continue our study of Genesis. Hope you enjoyed last week's study. This week, per Rick's request, I'm going to go over some of the rabbis that I've been quoting and give you a little background information on them so that you know who we're dealing with, and you'll know who I'm talking about. If you'll notice on the screen, I have 4 names: Rashi, Ibn Ezra, Rambam, and Ramban. And the reason I'm putting these 4 is these are the 4 that I'm going to be mostly dealing with. And the reason why is because the first 3 are the ones that the Ramban, the final one, usually references in his commentaries as he's going through. So I'm using the Ramban, the last guy on there, I'm using his commentary, primarily, but I'm also referring back to things like the Rambam's work and Rashi and Ibn Ezra. So these are all very important figures as far as commentaries and explaining the meaning of the Torah, the Tanakh, the Hebrew Scriptures. And let me give you a little background information on them. So I started with Rashi because Rashi, as far as chronology goes, he's the oldest of them. He was born in 1040 on the secular calendar, and on the Jewish calendar, he was born in 4,800. I don't know how many of you realize this, but the Jewish calendar goes according to the accounting of time in the Tanakh. So when we say 4,800 years, we're talking about 4,800 years since the creation of Adam, and we count from
so
that
we're
time
up
go
to
forward.
we're up to 5,000 something, right?
5,782. We just we're at 5,782. We just did that with our last Rosh Hashanah, and that was back in about 3 months ago, I guess. Oh, excuse me, 3 months or so ago, and so we're in 5782. You guys, of course, we're in 2022. We just hit hit that number, and if you want to know the difference between them, just take 5782 and subtract 3,760 from it, and that gives you 2022. What happened to my screen all of a sudden? Did something weird.
I'll be back in a second. Just gotta get my mom to turn down the TV in the other room.
Oh, sure, no problem. For some reason, I don't know why, but my screen got weird on me. Hopefully that's not affecting anyone.
Mom, can you turn down the TV? Please.
Rick, did you hit a button or something that caused my... I don't see how you could cause my OBS to shrink, but something did.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, you didn't hear me. Did you hit a button or something just now?
I didn't.
Huh. I didn't either. That's very, very odd. Let me see if I go out and come
Why?
back.
What? Are you frozen or something?
No, my screen shrank in half suddenly. The whole OBS screen shrank in half.
Gee, that's weird.
There, now
Unless you accidentally.
I got it back. I just went to studio mode and brought it back. Okay, so as I was saying, so if you want to find the year, then you would subtract 5,782. You subtract that by 3,760. If we're going in BCE time, which is before the year 1, then you're going to add those numbers together, and that'll give you the year that you're at. So it's kind of a little tricky until you get used to it. So he was born in 1040, and I'll mostly stick with the secular date because I think that's easier for us all to keep hold of. So he was born almost 1,000 years ago. He was born almost 1,000 years ago, and he died in 1105. So he was about 65 when he passed away, which is pretty good age. He saw a lot of action. He actually lived through, I believe it was the First Crusade. The First Crusade. He lived through the period of the First Crusade. And actually at the time that Rashi lived, France was actually a pretty good haven for Jews. Jews were actually going through their golden age in France at the time. They got along pretty well with their Christian neighbors. But with the start of the Crusade, that all changed. They were forced. They had. There's a story that, and I don't remember the person's name, but there was a person who was leading a crusade, and he came through, and he'd heard about Rashi and his great ability, and he wanted for Rashi to tell him what was going to happen when he returned back alive, yada yada. And Rashi didn't really want to say anything, but he finally said, only you will come back, and you'll die before you enter through the gate. And the guy went to the crusade, and all of his soldiers were killed, and he came back, and he died as he was coming to the gate to kill Rashi because he was upset. So that's a story about that. I don't know if it's true or not. But
interesting. Is that the gate for Jerusalem? Or
no, he was in France. He was in France.
Okay.
And at that time, I want to say he was in Provence, France. At that time, let's see here. Rashi died in 1105. He died on the 29th in Troyes. He died in Troyes, France. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Forgive my French. This time, this time, this time we're not talking about curse words. I'm talking, actual French. French. I don't know how they're saying this. He died on the 29th of Tammuz, and where he was born. He was born in Troas, and he died in Troas. So what's so amazing about Rashi? Well, Jewish history, we split it up into different eras, and the era before his was the Gaonic period, and Gaon is I think it's a Spanish word, means genius, and the Gaonim were like the generation, one or two generations after the close of the Talmudic period, when they finished composing the Talmud. So it's about 500 years.
Okay.
It's about 500 years. Go ahead.
Is each era about 500 years, or does it vary?
It might vary. I haven't really split up the time frames. I didn't really look at that. It occurs to me that maybe I should have, but yeah, it's
no problem.
there are lots of questions to be asked, and I guess I can't prepare for all of them. But
yeah,
who
knows what I'll think of.
Right. So you have the Talmudic period, and then you have the Savarai, and then you have the Gaonim, and then you have what are called the Rishonim. Rishonim is the period where we have all the commentators like Rashi and Ibn Ezra, Rambam, and Ramban.
So would these periods be after the completion of what I would call the Old Testament?
Sure.
All your main holy books, like
for sure,
the prophets. So after I don't know, I'm trying to think of the right time frame.
It's much further.
Well,
after
all
that.
the books before, any books before Christ, because I don't think there was any. You guys have any before Scripture after Christ?
Well,
everything
you're familiar.
Just before.
You're familiar.
I could be wrong.
Well, you're familiar with the fact that the Catholics had, they like to have the Book of Maccabees 1 and 2, and Enoch and different things like that. And then there are definitely lots of writings that we have around this time, and we have the writings of Josephus, but we don't have any holy books, for example. So let's just take you with what we call the Torah. The Torah is split up into 3 sections, and Torah actually it represents those 3 sections. So the T in Tanakh stands for a Torah. It's the first 5 books of Moses, and the N stands for Nevi'im, and that means prophets. So you have everything from Judges to I think Micah. I think it ends with Micah there.
Judges is part of the prophets for
What's
you?
that? What is?
I said Judges is part of the prophets for you?
Yeah.
That's interesting. We don't consider them part of the prophets.
Yeah, it's it's interesting because First and Second Kings is part of the prophets, but First and Second Chronicles is part of the writings, and that's what the Chaf at the end of Tanakh means. It means Ketuvim, which is writings, and or Ketuvim, and so you have in the writings you have books such as Psalms and Proverbs and Ruth and Daniel and all those, and the difference between the it's
sorry, I just Daniel we have in the prophets.
Right, we don't have Daniel in the prophets, and here's the difference. Daniel was a prophet himself, but to be in the section of prophets in the Tanakh, your message had to be something that resonated for every generation going forward. And so, even though you might say that Daniel had some prophecies that are recorded in the book of Daniel, it wasn't necessarily things that were going to be completely relevant